Hello, so Mr. JK. Uh, hello. Morning, sir.
Hello.
Hello.
Everyone. Can we start the program, Hari Prasad?
Yes, sir, we can start. Yeah, we can start.
Can you check with Lula, sir? Can we start the program?
Yeah. So, Lula, sir, can we start the program?
No.
Lula, sir? Lula, sir? Hello? Hello?
Lula's mic is it's muted. You would ask.
No, it's not. No, it's not muted. It's
Unmuted.
unmuted. I'll just call him. One. Lula, sir? Hello?
Hurry, call Mr. Lula, man.
Yeah, we're calling, sir. We are calling, sir.
Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Sridhar, sir.
Good morning. Am I audible?
Yes, sir. You are audible, sir.
Hello. Yes, Mr. Prabhu. Yeah. I'm on the screen. Please start. I'm on the screen.
Am I audible, please? Hello.
Hello, you're audible,
Hello.
sir. Hello, you're audible, sir.
Hello. Hello.
Mr. Lula, sir?
Saravanan, sir, you can start actually.
I'll start, is it? Okay.
Yeah, please.
Happy morning. Jay Karthik, can you mute everyone except Lula, sir? Can we start? Hari Prasad, we are starting, right?
Yeah.
Hari Prasad,
morning.
we are starting.
Let me introduce Mr. Lula. Lula is 10 years senior to me in Annamalai University. He did electrical engineering. He is as disciplined like LBS. Many of you keep guessing who is LBS. Whichever
Hello.
contractor does a job for him, you can consider that contractor overall must be the best on that day. and he always looks.
Sir, Sridhar sir, you'll have to unmute your mic.
Sridhar sir, you have to unmute, sir.
Sir, Sridhar sir, you'll have to unmute your mic.
Sridhar, I have been unmuted by the host. Yeah, I can mute. Okay.
எல்லாரையும் அன்மியூட் பண்ணி விட்டுருங்க. லைன்ல இருங்க.
I'll unmute myself on mute only. Thank you.
Mute all the mic.
Mr. Saravanan. Mr. Saravanan.
Yes, I am here.
I am through. Please call Mr. Vijayaraghavan another call to unmute himself.
Okay.
So both are Lulla sir and Vijayaraghavan Sridhar sir, both are in mute conditions.
No, Lulla sir is he see they
Unmuted.
are
Lulla sir is unmuted. Sridhar sir is muting. That you can can unmute also.
we have admin is already unmuted. He is putting himself on mute, so we need to tell him.
So send a message.
If somebody can call Sridhar sir to unmute, I think that's better.
Yeah, I'll do it.
No, Saravanan sir, this is Hari Prasad. So,
Yeah.
Sridhar sir said he has completed the introduction about our Lulla sir. So,
Okay.
I would like to welcome.
பண்ணி வச்சிருக்கீங்க உங்க ஸ்பீக்கர் அங்க admin.
Okay, Saravanan.
Hari.
Yes.
Saravanan.
Sorry sir.
Yes.
Sorry sir. They expect you to speak something.
Call Lulla sir to
Speak something. Better unmute for some time.
call Lulla sir to directly.
No, let me
Okay,
start, sir. I think, sir, let me start. Happy morning to you all. There's a small hiccups. We will start the program. On behalf of ASHRAE Chennai chapter, ISHRAE Puducherry chapter, Kalpakkam, Coimbatore and Madurai chapter, I welcome you all for this wonderful session by our industry veteran, Mr. Lulla, the prominent name whose name the whole industry knows. So he is going to give a presentation now. The presentation is going to be 1 hour. The first half an hour will be a video presentation done by Mr. Lulla. As his health condition, he is going to speak through, there's a recorded video which is going to run for half an hour. And the next half an hour, there will be a question and session where you can directly post your questions or speak to him directly. He will answer to your questions. Thank you. I now leave it to Hari Prasad to take the meeting forward.
Yeah, thank you, sir. So, the agenda would be about the presentation as followed by the question and answer session. We have members of in our panelists will be answering the questions, and with Mr. Lulla sir and Mr. Sridhar sir will take over the question and answer session. I request everyone to post your questions in the chat box so that your questions will be answered. Okay, so we can start the presentation.
We are starting the presentation. Jay Karthik, please run the video. Jay Karthik, audio is not started.
Hello. Hello.
Yeah, audio is not coming, Jay Karthik.
Now it is coming, sir. Now come.
All right.
He closes. Good day.
Welcome to this session on air conditioning.
The audio is not coming in.
Now it is coming, sir. Now come.
Good day. Welcome to this session on air conditioning. Welcome to this session. Today's topic is heat loads. Heat loads is a basic requirement to be able to size, check on the type of air conditioning you require and what is the optimum use that you can do. Good day. Welcome to this session. Heat loads would mean the use of a vocabulary which will perhaps take you back to the physics classes which you first had before your undergraduate level. Today you are doing the postgraduate program. So don't hesitate to take 2 leaps back and go back all the way to the physics classes you had first. The chapter of interest would always be heat. Basically, air conditioning is heat. To an average Indian, where we live in a hot climate, air conditioning always means cooling, but it is never so. It can also mean heating in the temperature.
Request, please increase the volume.
Cooling is removal of heat. So let's look back for a few terms of heat load vocabulary that are required. In the slide that you have in front of you, I have just
No, slide is not coming.
important items which will come up. Something like the quantity of heat. The quantity of heat is always specified in terms of BTUs in the FPS unit or kilocalories in terms of the SI units. Quality of heat, which would be the temperature, is specified in terms of the FPS units. In terms of something like quantity of heat, SI units. There is a small point in favor of my introducing you to FPS units is basically because air conditioning is strongly founded in America, and America still uses the FPS system for the air conditioning work. The most basic unit that you would be keeping on referring to in terms of air conditioning will always be the ton. The ton is not TON, the ton is TR as mentioned in the slide. Ton of refrigerator. And America still uses the FPS system for the patient. We will see a little later what this ton of refrigeration means. Again, stepping back to that same physics class, I'm quite sure you will recall the difficulty with which you had mastered the laws of thermodynamics. Very simply stated, the first law is heat is energy. It cannot be destroyed. The second law is heat is an energy, but it can be moved from a higher potential to a lower potential. Very obvious, very simple, requires no explanation. I won't get into too much technicalities, but these two requirements are so basic that unless one is
Mr. JK, voice is not coming. Hello, Mr. JK.
These three again, you will recall are very simple. Take a look at, I'm talking from Chennai, South. The most common thing that we see is coffee. It is served, as you see in this slide, in what is called a dabra. It's a tumbler and a flatter vessel in which it is kept. These are the temperatures that you see on the slide. basically the coffee would be at 80 degrees centigrade. The surface temperature of the glass would be 75. The dabra around it, which does not have the coffee, would be at 60. And the red lines that you see on the slide indicate the path of heat flow. The kitchen served you coffee at 80 degrees centigrade, but your lips will not require anything better than 50 degrees centigrade. So until that, you leave your glass standing, the glass will lose heat in the forms that you see there. If it loses heat to air, it is obviously losing without any molecular movement of the air, it is convection. Down at the bottom, you will find that the glass is in contact with the dabra. The dabra is in contact with the marble, and there you have physical contact which is taking away heat by conduction. So the downward arrow indicates heat lost by convection, and there is a very small portion being lost by radiation because the surface of 80 degrees tumbler is also exposed to 24 degrees of marble. So here you have radiation, you have convection, and you have conduction occurring all simultaneously. They can never be made. In most cases, one is predominant, two is predominant. I mean, but you never can have all the three equally done. But all the three will take place. Now, this cooling the coffee that you saw was very simple. It was very cheap. There was no refrigeration involved. Why? Because we were handling temperatures above the ambient. 80 degrees is far above the ambient. There's a cooling media all around the ambient is my cooling media. So 80 degrees gets cooled down to 40 degrees without any problem. I mean, 55 degrees, which I wanted for my lips, in absolutely without any difficulties. Now the same thing, if instead of eating, I wanted a glass of lime juice, can I keep it at 40 degrees centigrade and expect it to become 30 degrees? It will not happen. Or 20 degrees, it will not happen. Why? Because I'm surrounded by 40 degrees and my lime juice cannot become lower than 40 degrees. So how does it become lower? By introducing something inside, 0 degrees. Now that is the air conditioner in an air conditioned space. In a glass, you have the ball of ice, which is your coolant. In the room, it is the air conditioner, which is your coolant. Now I had mentioned that we will look at ton, because I'll be using this word very often. I'll give an introduction to what is a ton. A ton of refrigeration is the equivalent of the heat liberated by ice, 1 ton of ice when it melts in 1 full day in 24 hours. So in other words, you engage a tempo, bring a ton of ice, keep it in a room, and if it melts in 24 hours, that is the equivalent of your 1 ton window air conditioner. I mean, most houses today have window air conditioners or small split units, and the capacities are around 1 ton, 1.5 ton. Should such a machine fail, and you are obliged to, let us say, have cooling, then you will just have to lift the phone. If you have a 1 ton machine, order out 1 ton of ice and keep it in the room. Find a way of spreading that ice's coolant to all over the room. But just imagine the kind of work that's called for. That's the kind of beauty. Let's get down to a little more specific requirements like air conditioning. It's no longer coffee, it's no longer lime juice. A body, as most of us know, today is 38.6 degrees as what the doctor would like us to see, healthy people. Maybe the skin is about 4 degrees cooler. Our skin temperatures are around 34, 35. If they are covered by cloth, maybe the surface temperature of cloth will be a little higher. But hair skin around 34 to 35, depending on the person and his metabolism, as also his body temperature. His body temperature generally is always kept constant unless he is not. With 38.6, there's a 4-degree lag for the surface temperature. Now, at this parameter, research has established that a person is most comfortable if his environment is at 24 degrees, which means air conditioning temperatures have got to be 24. Now, 24 is also related to a couple of other parameters which are very strong on the air conditioning man's board. These are relative humidity, 4 degrees, one wants 55% average. At these conditions, what you don't see in the slide, you require a small air movement across your body, something like 25 feet per minute. Now, to give you an idea of what 25 feet per minute is, if I had a paper on my table, it should not flutter. A paper fluttering means that the velocity is beyond 25 feet per minute, and I am likely to feel uncomfortable. So a person is comfortable with 24 degrees centigrade, 55% average, and 25 feet per minute air movement. Again, going back to where I'm talking from, Chennai, my ambient is 40 degrees. Invariably, the wet bulb at that point of time, maximum would be around 30. Now, in such a scenario, when you have hot outside and when you have a cool room inside, heat flows in. Now, that is the job of an assessment for heat loads. You have to evaluate how much of heat is coming in, size the cooling load or the heat load as we call it, and buy equipment to match that. For instance, if you have a heat load of a room at 100 tons, you will need a 100-ton air conditioner. You have a bedroom which requires 1 ton of air conditioning, you require a 1-ton air conditioner. Now, how does heat come into this space? Definitely from, as we saw from the law of thermodynamics, it has to come from outside to inside. The moment it comes from outside to inside, that is one established source. The next is heat from inside. These are the two generic forms that one can ever think of. This slide will sort of split up into saying external and internal factors, all literally shown on the same slide. You will see that the external sources are heat from the walls, heat from the roof, heat through glass. This is different from what would come through the walls. The wall heat is generally always assumed to be conductive heat, coming because the outside is hot. One surface of the wall is hot, one surface is cold. Heat moves in through the wall by way of conduction. Apart from it, if there is direct sunlight coming through a window, this is radiation. The sun's heat, so many miles away, so many million degrees centigrade, is transmitted into the air conditioning space without heating the path of the heat. Like that, the radiation is one of the external factors of heat. So among the external factors, you have heat coming in from the fabric, floor, roof, walls by conduction, radiation through glass, and the fresh air that is always taken in to allow for dilution of the pollution that may occur inside the room. Now, these are the external factors. The internal factors are basically any equipment that you keep inside. Second, you yourself, a person, by virtue of being at 38 degrees centigrade and sitting in a room of 24 degrees centigrade, always heats up the room. He perspires, so he adds latent heat. So a person adds heat, and apart from it, one of the most basic things is lights. The moment you have light, the light ultimately gets transformed into heat, which the air conditioning man is obliged to collect and take out of the room. As I said earlier, the heat through walls, through roof and floor can be called heat through the fabric of the enclosure. This heat flow always follows a very simple formula, K into A into TD, where K is a constant depending on the type of wall, floor or roof. A is the area of the item being considered, and TD is the temperature across the two. Invariably, when sizing heat loads, these are not taken directly as ambient. They are taken from textbooks where small corrections have been made for various aspects. But basically, it is necessary to know that the heat flow through fabric is by conduction, and it respects KATD. K is a factor which you can decide as an architect. A is an area which is imposed upon you by geometry. TD is again something that you cannot do. If you're working in Madras, short of taking the place out of Madras and siting your building in Ooty, that amount of TD will always be there. Now, this is a generic value of a KATD. It shows a brick wall, as a brick wall should be hatched. It shows cement plaster. Now, these are things which one would see. The heat conduction through these elements have different values. Heat flows faster through cement plaster, slower through brick, and apart from it,
The thermodynamics man says
a brick wall,
an outer film and an inner film are always there in any conduction, whether it is the glass of coffee, whether it is the glass of lime juice, or whether it's a brick wall. You have an outer film and an inner film. These outer films and inner films depend upon a lot of factors.
Velocity of air across them. For instance, now in that cup of coffee, there was an inner film. It was retarding the flow of heat from the cup of coffee to the ambient conduction.
If I want to cool my coffee cooler, whether it is the glass of lime juice, what do? I take a spoon, stir the coffee. What have I done at that point? I have increased the velocity of coffee against the walls of the coffee cup, and that inner film value has decreased. What will happen because of that? Obviously, the heat flow is faster and the coffee cools faster. So this is what you do. When you want a coffee to be cooled faster, you take a spoon and turn it. Now here, perhaps it's not...
The voice is echoing. Hello.
Good day.
Check it. Can you please recheck? Can you stop the video and recheck at this point?
Against the walls of the coffee cup. Today's topic, that inner film value has decreased. What will happen because of that? Obviously, the heat flow is faster and the coffee cools faster. So this is what you do. When you want a coffee to be cooled faster, you take a...
The voice is echoing. Hello.
Good day.
Check it. Can you please recheck? Can you stop the video and recheck at this point?
Against the wall of coffee. Today's topic, the inner film value has decreased. What will happen because of that? Obviously, the heat flow is faster and the coffee cools faster. So this is what you do when you want to cool faster, you take a...
Hello, Saravanan sir. Can you please recheck?
You have to check with Jay Karthik. He is having the control.
Welcome to this session on
It's reduced.
Hello, Saravanan
So these are factors which, are built in by the thermodynamics.
You have Jay Karthik number, no? He is having the control. Please
When he evolves the heat through a fabric, inner film is accounted for, outer film is accounted for. You have these elements built in. And to give you an average idea, a 9-inch brick wall, which is generally adequate for separating an air-conditioned space from a 40-degree ambient. So these are factors. You need a 9-inch brick wall which has a U value of 0.36 BTUs per square foot per degree Fahrenheit. This is what you see in red at the bottom of the slide. Now, look at the basic materials that one uses today. You have on your slide a listing of a few common materials: marble, concrete, cement, brick. What is necessary is not to remember the values that you see against them, but
have a feel for they are being good conductors or bad conductors. For instance, if you make, it's very well known that if you make a air conditioned room out of a tin sheet, you require a larger capacitor. More heat will go to thin. A listing of a few common materials: marble, concrete, cement, brick. What is necessary is not to remember the values that you see against them, but have a feel for they are being good conductors or bad conductors. For instance, if you make, it's very well known that if you make a air conditioned room out of a tin sheet, you require a larger capacitor. More heat will go to thin. A listing of a few common materials: marble, concrete, cement, brick. What is necessary is not to remember the values that you see against them.
substitute the tin with a 9-inch brick. Fine. You have lesser heat coming in.
They are being good conductors.
Substitute it with 18 inches, you have still lesser heat. What is required is a feel of the material you use and the thicknesses that are required to be able to optimize on the type of construction that you should go in for. You look at, for instance, marble. You look at concrete. Between the two, marble conducts more heat coming in. Why? Generally, you can make up your mind and see, oh, it's compact. Because it's compact, conduction will be much better. Molecule to molecule contact is more intimate. Heat flow will be much faster. So you find a tremendous amount of heat flowing through marble. For the same thickness, concrete will conduct less. For the same thickness, cement plaster will be less, brick will be less, and of course the lowest will be things like polyurethane foam. You can make up your mind and see where the value is but just about 0.18, maybe about 100 times lower than that of marble. Now that is as far as the fabric heat gauge is concerned. The second item that we had looked at was solar heat gain. Solar heat gain is incumbent only as long as sun comes into the AC space. And of course, obviously, if you want to restrict this, a very simple thing is shade the window, which means sun doesn't come in. About 100 times lower than that of marble. I'm quite sure, if you look at any fundamental book on air conditioning, a good author will start on by saying shade is the cheapest heat gain. Solar heat gain is incumbent only as long as sun comes into the AC space. And of course, obviously, if you want to restrict this, a very simple thing is shade the window, which means sun doesn't come in. About 100 times lower than that of marble. I'm quite sure, if you look at any fundamental book on air conditioning, a good author will start on by saying shade is the cheapest heat gain. Solar heat gain is incumbent only as long as sun comes into the AC space.
The second item that we had looked at was solar heat gain. Solar heat gain is incumbent only as long as sun comes into the AC space. Obviously, if you want to restrict this, a very simple thing is shade the window, which means sun doesn't come in. Now, I'm quite sure, if you look at any fundamental book on air conditioning, a good author will start on by saying shade is the cheapest form of air conditioning. What he meant was that when you shade a space, you take care of things like radiation, etc. automatically. The next source of heat is from fresh air. Again, it's something that is imposed upon you for a requirement of personal usage. You require a personal indoor air quality, and you need to maintain a certain amount of oxygen level. A certain amount of fresh air is required. The fresh air that you bring in from outside obviously is from the ambient. It is at 40 degrees. It has a wet bulb associated with it of 28 degrees centigrade. Now, that hot, humid air, when it comes inside, as a requirement for health, obviously becomes a heat load to the air conditioning fan. Now, these three factors put together are all that is required from the external sources. Let's go back to the internal sources. Let's start with the most simplest one, light. Everybody knows that lights do contribute to heat. Here, calculation for a heat load from a light is extremely simple. All that is required is to find out the wattage. The moment you have the wattage, multiplied by a constant of 3.41. 3.41 into the watts will straight away give you the heat load in BTUs per hour. The heat load from people. Here again, one would say it's extremely simple. Number of people multiplied by a constant. But here, the constant is not a constant always. The constant depends on, as you see on the slide, things like metabolism, his body weight, the sex of a person, age, space, and the temperature. For example, when an office man is sitting, like I'm sitting and talking to you, if I were not talking, my heat output to the room would be just 450 BTUs. When I talk, maybe I exert myself, maybe I do some movements with my hand, 450 will climb up to 500 BTUs. You who are sitting there will perhaps contribute only to 350. For example, if you start laughing, 350 might become 375. If you start moving about, it might become 400. So that's the kind of variation that's allowed. At the extreme end, let us say if all of us were to have workbenches and we start doing some light bench work, we might, our heat liberated in the AC space might go up to 1400 BTUs. So a light bench work requires something like 1400 BTUs, which is 3.5 times what a person will liberate. Or if I were just watching a movie without too much of movement, my heat load will be barely 300, 310. To give you an idea between that 1400 and 300, there's a table which has been evolved by ASHRAE, where the metabolism of a person is related to the total heat. So sleeping is related as 0.7. So obviously it's below the daytime limit of 400, 450. When you sleep, you naturally have very little activity. You naturally liberate the minimum amount of heat. When you read, when you sit, that's a time when you have unity as the MET of a person. This unit is called the MET. Metabolic unit is called the MET. Now, one look at it will tell you, you can go up to 3.5 to 4 in an air-conditioned area, which is what we said from 400 to 1400. Now, comfort is also influenced by the type of clothing one wears. In summer, you find people deriving comfort in non-air-conditioned areas by knowingly or unknowingly shedding clothes. What are they doing? By shedding clothes, I don't mean somebody putting on a bikini. I mean straight away somebody, instead of putting on a pant and shirt, you find them putting on a lungi and a bunny. Now, there, the clothing level has reduced, which means the insulation between the outside heat and the inside heat, meaning my body, has reduced, and I can be comfortable at slightly higher temperatures. Now, here again, when we talk of 24 degrees as being comfort, what is allowed for is a clothing level of 1, which means a light business suit. I am today in front of you underclothed. If I put on a jacket, I can still be comfortable at 24. But if I put on a winter jacket, which is thick, then my ambient temperature will have to drop from 24 to something lower. Only then I will be comfortable, because this fabric which I am wearing has insulated my body from the ambient. And to make me feel comfortable, the temperature has to drip lower for my equivalent comfort to be melted. This accounts for 2 of the major sources of heat. The last source that one normally comes across is any equipment that you make. It could be a computer, it could be a motor, it could be any electrical device. Most of us will perhaps encounter only computers and electrical equipment. There, it's extremely simple. If you know the horsepower of the equipment, multiply that by 2545. If you know the kilowatt of the equipment, which is again related, multiply by 3410. I'm quite sure all of us know that 0.746 kilowatts is equal to 1 HP. which is what you see in the relation between 3410 and 2545 on your slide. It is exactly the same relation of 0.746 is to unit. Multiply that by 2545. Again, this is just a constant. You just whatever, let us say, I keep a computer in front of me and it has a flat screen. My wattage perhaps will be 145. But supposing I have a few hundred computers and it's a flat screen, I use the older type of version where the wattage is as high as 250. Then per equipment that I use, I'm up by 110 watts. So let us say I have 100 machines, I'm up by about 10 kilowatts. So that is where this kind of knowledge of this kind of heat is very useful to determine that you should have heat saving equipment inside which does not contribute to heat loads. What did we talk about? This is the summary. We started off by saying a heat load is a factor of two important things which are shown in Roman numerals, external and internal. External is made up of three elements: fabric, solar, and ventilation. Integral is likewise made up of three elements: people. What did we talk about? This is the summary. We started off by saying external and internal. External is made up of three elements: fabric, solar, and ventilation. Integral is likewise made up of three elements.
ஹலோ சார், நீங்கள் சொல்லிடுங்க சார், எதுவும் சரியாக வரல சார். Dear all, we will. Yeah, Saravanan sir, please go ahead, sir. Sorry.
I think there is a technical error with the video. So we are now requesting Hari, please take it forward.
Yeah, yes, sir. So, sorry once again for this technical issue. So we will upload this video into the YouTube and I will share the link. It will be, you can go through the video there. Okay. So, Sridhar sir, we will start with the questionnaire session. Okay. So, can you hear me, sir? Sridhar sir? Hello, Sridhar sir?
Sridhar sir's speaker is muted. Yeah, is unmuted now.
Yeah, okay. Tell me.
Yes, sir. So, our first question is on the, one second, sir, I'll just read out the question. So, question number one is, what can be done to prevent fungus contamination over genuine leather products due to closure of malls for more than 20 days, as it is happened in Chennai now? Can a solution be given from HVAC aspect? For example, we can run the air conditioner without cooling daily.
Hey, brother, you are too fast.
Okay.
You have to read the question slowly so that all the panelists hear it. So then we can ask the panel, whichever panel has to answer that.
Yeah, okay, sir. So, question is, what can be done to prevent fungus contamination over genuine leather products due to closure of malls for more than 20 days, as it is happened in Chennai? Is there any solution for this? Do we need to do anything during design, or whether we have to run the air conditioner without cooling capacity daily? What is the solution for this?
Okay, I'll ask Mr. Prashant Desai to answer this.
Good morning, everyone. I suppose you guys can hear me.
Yeah, I can hear.
Yes, you're audible.
One of the most important thing for fungus is the higher relative humidities. The fungus generally is extremely active in very high humidities, particularly 70% and above. And as the humidity keeps falling below 70%, the fungus growth keeps decreasing and it almost comes to zero somewhere around 50-55% RH. So it's not so much of a temperature, it's more of an RH. And in a place like Chennai, which is extremely hot and humid, I do not see any other option but to run the air conditioning more or less 24/7, almost 24/7, at least during the high humidity time. In the night, if Chennai has lower humidity, you can probably switch it off during the night. But yes, the ACs will have to run, if not continuously, at least intermittently. That's the solution to it.
Okay. Sridhar sir, over to you, sir. Yeah. Sridhar sir, what is your...
Yeah, I think what Prashant has answered is very apt. It is
Lulla
more
wants
because of the
to,
high humidity.
Lulla seems to be, Lulla wants to say something.
Yeah, add to that, first the filters have to be, the pre-filters, to my knowledge, would have been already with a thick black soot. So it is not suitable. It cannot be cleaned with acid. It cannot be cleaned with detergent. It has to be replaced. This is what is happening in most of the, I've seen many of the 5-star hotels. They don't change the pre-filter from the day AHU is started till the AHU they replace. And initially, the designer, whoever it is, goes for a best AHU, they go for a train AHU, and now in one of the hotels, the train AHUs have been replaced by the local AHU manufacturers. You can just imagine what will be the condition. Thank you.
Yeah.
Lulla sir.
Yeah, Lulla sir.
Sir. Sir, request Lulla sir to speak out, sir.
Unless there is condensation, it for oxygen and good amount of high humidity. There is no way to obviate fungus. The simplest way to obviate is to ensure that you don't get spores. And it has not been identified as, you might as well say something like that. Dust. But looking at HEPA filter, you cannot put in normal. The easiest way to control fungus is to avoid condensation and ensure that a certain amount of cleanliness is maintained so that spores are not found. Once they are found, you have absolutely very limited options to get rid of them. The invariable simple factor that they respond to is going up to a temperature of higher, something like 45 degrees centigrade, which you just cannot do in most places. It is something which is very, very difficult to isolate. Whoever has been struck with this problem will definitely know that's very difficult. If it has come onto a product, you have no choice. No amount of weather control will help. You have no choice but to engage a cleaner, clean out the spore with some detergent material, which is absolutely making sure that the spore formation has disappeared. It's something like COVID-19. I'm finished.
Yeah, okay, sir. Thank you. Hope the question, the answer, we have answered the question. So we'll go move ahead with the next question. There is one more question from a participant. So the question is, whenever we need to work heat load for a server room with specific temperature and RH, since the whole area is insulated and lighting load is very minimal with low occupancy, but we are not getting any HP or kilowatt from the client. How to derive the tonnage? Sridhar sir, up to you.
Yeah, can I ask Mr. Kishore to answer this?
No, yes, sir. Many people don't either give or give an exorbitantly high value without knowing that if they give a higher value, it will be better for that. Invariably, we'll end up with higher RH design considering the higher heat load value. That happens with many medical equipments also. Only way out is we'll have to educate those people. Giving a higher value also matters. So all medical equipment happens not only in the server room. So they have to give. They will certainly know that. They don't bother about it. They give higher the value we give, better will be the air conditioning, or safer it will be. It is not that they don't know the value. They don't want to give. Sir, am I audible, sir? Sir?
Oh yes, sir. You're audible. You're audible.
Yeah. So it is that you have to explain to them that much higher value if you give, that will end up with the system balancing at a higher RH. They think that if instead of 1 kilowatt, if you give 2 kilowatt, they will be more sure of getting the better conditions. You have to explain to them it is not so. Even the data center people or any medical equipment, I had faced in so many places while air conditioning hospital air conditioning systems. You'll have to explain to them that it matters.
Okay.
So any other person can give a better solution?
Prashant?
See there, if your customer doesn't know what equipment he is going to put in there, then, there is precious little a designer can do, in my opinion. But if you go through the ISHRAE handbook, they are given you some sort of a guideline in terms of what that densities could be and what will be the usable power of each of the machine. The least one can do is, you can count the number of tables, you can do kind of an estimation, but, it's really speaking the customer's responsibility to give you those details. If customer can't give you the details, then somewhere you will have to put an overriding clause that in absence of this is what we have considered.
Sir, I don't believe that customer can't give the details, but they don't want to give. They don't want.
I also don't believe that customer can't give the details. I agree with you.
They don't bother about it. Or rather, give a.
It's not the onus of. It's not the onus of air conditioning designer really to fathom about what probably would be the equipment. It is the customer's responsibility, and he is the one who has to give it.
Can we get next question?
Yes, sir. Next is a basic question. What is the difference between absolute humidity and specific humidity, sir?
Mr. Lulla, can I answer this, sir?
Basically, it's a textbook question. Let's not waste this thing.
Okay.
This is very clearly mentioned in what it is. Out of practice, you normally require only the RH and absolute humidity. Absolute humidity, when you're dealing with hygroscopic projects, and specific humidity, well, it's an academic requirement. I would request that, basically, let's move on. This is a very valuable time when everybody is here.
Yeah, okay, sir. Yeah. So next question is, what is the best solution in the current situation of COVID-19 to accommodate the central AC system, which is already installed?
Again, ISHRAE has got a very clear mandate on this, and ASHRAE has indicated, basically, vested interests have started saying, don't do it. And I would say ignorance has made people to say, switch off your air conditioning, it is wrong. The basic factors that are required are always there. Lower humidity is beneficial, which, definitely air conditioning guarantees you lower humidity than non-air conditioning. Obviously, fresh air is a very important factor. You need fresh air. Once you have a contaminated atmosphere, obviously you have to switch off your air conditioning. Otherwise, air conditioning is definitely better.
Okay, sir.
Next question.
Sir, what is the actual heat gain which we need to consider in manufacturing industry? How do we need to design it?
See, any industry, suppose the manufacturer, I am the manufacturer, I am supposed to give what are all the machines coming, what is the heat output of that machine, what will be the peak output, what will be the off-peak output, and what is the regular. So there are 1800 kilowatt machines in a workshop. So all the 100% time it will not be working 1800 kilowatt. So it may hover around between 60 to 70%. So that customer has to give that information based on which machine is going for, and based on that we'll have to work out the heat roll and then proceed.
Like loading factor, they have to give a loading factor.
More than that, you can also use, supposing, you land up with a customer, which is very often today, who does not know what to do. Let us say, you are taking a situation of a precision pump being kept in an air-conditioned room. Now, a precision pump might be 100 HP. You don't have to take 100 HP to 2545 as your heat load by that. It's very simple to say, you know, what is this pump doing? The pump must be doing something. Take only the inefficiency. It is the inefficiency of the machine which comes as the air conditioning.
Can you go to the next?
Efficiency part of it goes out. That means the pump is inside, the sump is outside, and the outside. Maybe it is multiple. It is not converted to work, which becomes your heat load.
Okay, sir. Yeah. Okay. Sridhar sir, that's all, sir. Questions.
Okay, then if there is no further questions, we can ask the some of the participants about how they have been, what is their experience in heat load, and what is the experience with the various factors. Can I request Srikanth Karkare to come online?
Yeah, I am online, Mr.
Listening. Yeah, Karkare.
Yes.
नहीं आज हमें आज मैं जाइस में आज
Yeah, Karkare.
Yes.
Yeah, please.
Okay.
You might have come across a lot of heat load issues with many clients. You can elaborate this.
No, what was talked about was what Mr. Kishore said did make a lot of sense. I've had such situations. A very peculiar situation was the heat load for a nylon tire cord plant. And it was a toe-to-top kind of thing. And the molten material was being dropped from something like 20 meters height, and at 4 meter height it was passing through a quench tube, and then it was coming onto a krill, and condition at the krill was the critical condition, as well as removal of the heat at the quench tube. And it was almost impossible to get heat load from the client and even from the process owner. So finally we worked out what was the heat input for melting the melting the material, and then we made some fair assumptions what it will happen at the quench tube, and then worked out how much will be the load at the krill, including the krill driving motor horsepower, that kind of thing. You do come up with a very difficult thing, but we need to educate the customer, or we need to get deep into their system to understand how it is going to work. We know the subject better than them in terms of heat and heat transfer. So that's what is my take on this.
Very good, Srikanth. As Srikanth said, the implied need of the customer has to be understood. Today, today in the market, nobody does that. The architect will say, Sridhar, can you suggest VRF? Then I will say to the architect, if VRF has to suggest it, I am not required. Please go ahead. Thank you. Next question. Sorry, next reaction, if anyone wants to give. Okay, Hari Prasad, if no one is there, can ask the vote of thanks by Dr. Jose.
Yes, sir. Actually, yes, he couldn't join, sir. He had some problem.
So then I'll ask Mr. K. Saravanan, immediate past president of ISRE Puducherry chapter, to do that.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you, sir. We are very sorry for some technical error from the video. We'll just request again Mr. Lulla sir or Mr. Sridhar sir to take the video. We will upload this video in YouTube and share the mail with video with everybody.
K. Saravanan, I want you to give the vote of thanks.
Yeah. I thank everyone here. I especially thank our industry veteran Mr. Lulla sir for taking out of his way to really spend his time for our ISHRE and ASHRE society for delivering his wonderful questionnaire session and the video. And I thank Mr. Sridhar sir specially to take the initiative to make Mr. Lulla sir present for this forum. I again, once again, thank Mr. Vijay Bhaskar sir, who has taken immense effort for the Puducherry chapter till date, who has coordinated the event along with the other Madurai, Coimbatore, Kalpakam chapter, along with ISHRE as a joint program. I thank Hari Prasad to coordinate this program as a program, coordinator for this event. Thank you everybody who had participated here. Since we had a limited Zoom, which is only for 100 people, we had certain restrictions because the questionnaire session also, and which has to be addressed by Mr. Lulla. So we had only 100 participants here. Thank you everybody to be here for registering within that stipulated time. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I just add few points. From next webinar onwards, we will try to do either go to webinar or Microsoft Team or Cisco WebEx, so that
I think glitches do occur, but I am part of ISHRE. I am very grateful to you to give me an opportunity to be present with all of you, and it's my pleasure. Thank you very much. Thank you for being present.
Good day.
Good day.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thanks.
Thank you.
Sridhar,
yes,
I wanted to thank Mr. Lulla very much, and I was quite thrilled watching him live today after so many years.
If you've done that, I'll share his number. You can do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure. It's my pleasure. I'm part of ISHRE. I am as much of
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
அந்த மாதிரி இருப்பாங்க, சில பேர் ஜென்யூனாவும் இருப்பாங்க. We may not be understanding of that. We have a possibility. And also yeah, please. Okay, you may take over. You may take over.